doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers Postgame presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me here for postgame, it is Mr. Flyperbole himself, Steve Jaco. What's going on, Steve?
Oh, Bill, just living the dream, watching the Flyers lose another overtime game. Man, are they the number one team for overtime games this season? They have to be up there.
I think last time they went to overtime, they said they're tied for the most overtime games. I tried finding it earlier and couldn't see, but I think this is like their 19th overtime game or something.
It feels like a guaranteed at least like twice a week.
It's really kind of insane. They went through a stretch where they played like 7 and 9, went to overtime, but this is their let's see here. Yeah, this is like their 20th overtime game. It's freaking ridiculous how often they go to OT. But at least it didn't take the full 5 and then a shootout. Like it ended in 9 seconds. You know, a 60-minute and 9-second game goes the Stars' way.
9 seconds.
You can't, but you can, I suppose, lose the second point after forcing OT, and like that's the. Once they get to overtime, I'm like, all right, like maybe we see a Michkov winner or something. Maybe we see something cool in the shootout. No, if you're gonna get there, then win. But to get the loser point, it just really felt like a waste today. Just a wasted effort from this team.
My brain barely registered that overtime had started when it ended. Just I wasn't even aware that we were in overtime at that point. Like it was wild. And yeah, like they went through a lot of effort, and like you could look at stuff like the intangibles and everything and say like, well, you know, it's a gutsy effort from the guys and all that, blah, blah, blah. Look, we're trying to tank here, folks. And a point is not good for the tank. I mean, 2 points is way worse for the tank, but 1 point, yeah.
Especially, I believe the Sabres lost in regulation today. They lose 4-1. They lose 4-1 to the Wild, so that's moving them, solidifying their top 4 spot, and the Flyers, I believe, will still be at 5 after today, even with the 1 point. But we'll get our Tankathon spin in at the end of today's show, as we always do.
A lot of losing left to go.
11 games left. 11 games left for this team. 2 huge must-lose games against Buffalo coming up. So we'll get to that when we get to that. But I do want to talk about the first positive of today. The long national nightmare is over. Travis Konecny's drought finally ends. He scores his first goal since February the 8th. He gets one today, lights the lamp. I kind of like how he no-sold it. Like, all right, like I'm supposed to score. It wasn't like the big. I remember, I think it was like one of the last games of the season, the year RJ Umberger didn't score a goal. Or maybe he went like 3 months without a goal. Or something.
I was going to say, there's a lot of times he went without a goal.
There was like almost a full season, I think, where he didn't score, and he gets one in one of the last games of the year, and he just like looks up and is like, thank you. And I kind of expected maybe something like that out of TK, but he does the intermission interview, kind of no-sells it. Like, yeah, we got to stay out of the box, just kind of focuses on the game. And it clearly had been weighing on him. And I'm glad he's able to get one. I didn't want to see him, like finish the final 50 games or the 40 games of the season with 2 goals. Like, so it's good that he gets one.
I had to check that number I just checked it again just to be sure. Like February 8th, right? February 8th is right. Because that's how unbelievable it is. And he's still the team's leader in goals after all that.
That's the craziest part is how like Michkov or Tippett haven't surpassed. Like all they would need is a hot week while he goes almost 30 games without a goal or with like 2 goals in that span. And it really did get kind of ridiculous there. He went 13 games without a goal. Going back to game 41, he has the 2 against the Leafs to get him to 20. He now has 3 goals in his last 30 games. Maybe he gets going here again.
You got Chicago this
couple multi-goal games. Maybe he gets to that magic 30 number he's hit the last couple of years. Again, only he needs 7 with 11 games to go, so that would take one hell of a hot streak after what he's been through. Had a chance at another one today. Rings it off the bar. He's shooting. He's getting opportunities. I liked what I saw for the most part out of him, Mish and Coots. That's been a fairly effective line, at least offensively this year. I'm going to see them stay together 100%.
Honestly, it helps all of them out, right? Like Konecny and Michkov get proper offensive partners to play with, and they get one of the few actual centers on this team. I mean, say what you will, I guess, about Ryan Poehling or Noah Cates at this point. Cates, I'm still trying to figure out. Like, I like Cates a lot as a player. Him. Where is his role on the team moving forward? And Poehling, we know what Poehling is. He's a nice fourth line center. Apparently, he's an offensive juggernaut right now, though, for this team because he scored another goal today.
He's the team's best scorer by far in the month of March, I'm pretty sure. But I want to get to what the Flyers have done this month because we know it's been abysmal. But I didn't realize, like, obviously they have that little shutout streak and everything, but today, so they scored 2 goals in the second period today, tie the game, eventually force overtime, but it's the only period in which they score. The Flyers have been shut out in 22 of the last 33 periods, plus 3 overtime sessions in which they have not scored a goal. The second period today was only the 5th time this month they've scored more than 1 goal in a period.
Oh, is that
all? It is insane how little this team scores. And, like, you can obviously look directly at the Travis Konecny slump and be like, well, yeah, the team's leading scorer doesn't score. Who the hell else is supposed to? The answer, Ryan Poehling and nobody else.
Apparently. And
it is just the offensive ineptitude is, I don't even know how to categorize it at this point. I don't know if I've ever seen a team this unable to score ever.
Well, without, their second, third line, maybe center, who sometimes played the wing and was a great guy in the locker room, apparently you can't score. The one that really, I know we've harped on him a bunch, and I think there's good reason to bring him up again today, is Owen Tippett, because we expected Owen Tippett to take a stride forward this season. Has not happened. And today he got demoted to the 4th line for a little bit. So I don't even know if that ended up being the case for the rest of the game. But come on. Like, that's one guy I would have liked to have seen him step up when Konecny has been dealing with whatever he's been dealing with. And look, Michkov's 20. I ain't putting that on Michkov.
No, it's going to be what it is this year with him, obviously. When he's been hot, maybe this was the start of something. We'll get to Mish in a little bit. But, like, Owen Tippett is... they made the long-term commitment to him. $6.2 million, is it a killer? No, but you want surplus value. And, like, what he was the previous 2 seasons, 27, 28 goals. All right, $6.2 million for that with the cap going up. You can live with it. But it's not like, oh, man, what a great contract. It's just like, all right, that's about right. That's normal.
I can live with it. It's not what you want to be thinking about with a guy you expect to be a top 6 forward on this team, your fastest winger, one of your most talented players. Like, objectively speaking, he can do things that other guys on the team can't do. The spinorama goals. He can light the lamp in ways that other guys can't do. Today, he ended up playing .831.
Yeah, I mean, that's positively atrocious, quite honestly. And Owen Tippett, I do think, is he the most disappointing Flyer this year? Like, just in terms of, okay, coming into the first year of this contract, he set this benchmark at 27, 28 goals. We think with Michkov, the power play can be a little bit better. He spent a decent amount of time with Mish this year. Like, you just really wanted to see him take that step to be not just, okay, you're getting fine value out of him, but surplus value. This is a guy who... you see the speed, you see the size, you see the scoring ability. He's got these tools. Why doesn't he seem to be able to put them all together? And I'm fine just kind of chalking this up to a bad year for him, lower shooting percentage than usual. But you look at during this time that TK's been on this slide, I would love to see him step up. 8 goals in the 24 games he played. Now, there is an injury in there. But it's really like 4 of them came in a 3-game span. Not good enough from Owen Tippett this year. And I think the coach is finally starting to be like, dude, I need you to score for me. And if you don't do that, what the hell are you doing? You're only playing 8 minutes if you can't score.
He's got to be the most disappointing guy. I probably also would lump Sam Ersson up in that category for sure. Sam Ersson's had a super disappointing year. And Cam York, you could probably put up there to a lesser extent. Like Cam York's been okay, but Cam York has not maybe been the first pairing, second pairing guy. We were hoping for more of a rock roll out of Cam York this year to really be like a steady guy in the lineup. Haven't necessarily seen that, but I'm mostly okay with Cam York. Sam Ersson, wildly disappointed in what I've seen. The injuries are disappointing. The performance, the inconsistency is disappointing. Tippett, though, I thought this guy was going to score 30 this year. I really did. And they were paying him like a guy they expected to score 30 goals. So yeah, I'm big time disappointed in what I've seen.
1 goal, 1 assist in his last 11 games. And you look at this team's inability to score, especially this month. Like, he's a guy who scores in bunches while the offense is struggling. Like, okay, man, you need to take over a shift. You need to take over a period. You need to win us 1 game with like man, he had 2 goals and an assist today. He was one of the best players on the ice for most of his shifts. Like, you just haven't seen that guy out of Tippett, and it's disappointing. It seemed as if he was an ascending player. Maybe he was going to take that like mid-prime step that we saw TK take when Tortorella got here. Like, okay, this is your 3rd year under Torts. You have to have a good grasp on what he's demanding of you. You have set this baseline for your goal scoring, and he's not even going to reach that this year, a regression year. Now I keep saying, well, cool. Maybe his breakout year comes when it actually matters. Like, we're trying to win a division. We're trying to get into the playoffs. We're trying to get to a conference final, whatever, and he has his 35-goal year. All right, well, that'll mean it meant something, but it would be nice to, like, see that it's in him before then.
Well, and he's 26. I mean, he's in his prime right now.
This is it, yeah.
This is it. So, like, if he's not doing it now, I'm starting to get a little worried about the future of Owen Tippett with this team, and these are the times to be thinking about these decisions. I mean, next season is going to be really big for the development, and like, you're going to have to make more hard decisions like you did with Frost and Farabee. I mean, letting go of Frost and Farabee when they did, that's a hard decision. And I know it might not look like it in retrospect, given some of the struggles some of those guys have had. Like, we looked at the numbers. They haven't been great for those guys since they were traded. But you also look at the Flyers power play numbers, and shockingly, Morgan Frost was a pretty good player for them in that regard.
Morgan Frost still 3rd on the team in power play points. We will definitely talk about the power play at some point in this post game. But right now, I got to tell you about a couple of our sponsors. Gotta lead it off with our friends at Lucy Nicotine, because Lucy is always 100% pure nicotine and always tobacco free. Lucy comes in breakers and pouches. Breakers are nicotine pouches with an extra surprise. Each pouch holds holds a capsule that can be broken open to release extra flavor and hydration. You have to set yourself up with a subscription and have Lucy delivered straight to your door. I actually just altered my my latest subscription. It's coming at the end of the month. Up the dosage, upped it to the 8 milligram winter greens. We're going to give those a shot in the month of April. Really looking forward to seeing when those arrive. That is what I've been going with. Big fan of the winter green. It has really grown on me. But regardless of whatever your favorite flavor is, I like the espresso a lot, the cinnamon, the apple ice, all very good. You got to level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co/PHLY and use promo code PHLY to get 20% off your first order. Lucy is a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. Again, that's lucy.co/PHLY and use code PHLY to get 20% off. And here comes that fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. And while we're here, got to tell you about Game Time. That's right. It is the absolute best secondary ticket marketplace thanks to features like Game Time Picks. Its curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, all the events you want to go to. And yes, hockey season winding down. Maybe you're not all that interested in seeing the Flyers in one of their last few home games, but we have baseball coming up right around the corner. is opening day, the home opener, all summer long. And of course, summer, that means it's concert season. Whatever you want to do this summer, you have to check out Game Time. Like I said, the Game Time picks, that is their best new feature, but they have the all-in pricing. You'll never be surprised when you get to check out and suddenly, oh, the price doubled. Doesn't happen with the all-in pricing, the low price guarantee, and the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Yeah, that's... Oh, and we look at that. It is game time for Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer. It is Charlie O'Connor joining us live from the grassy knoll. What is going on, Charlie? Thoughts on the game and any standout quotes from the locker room?
Yeah, I think the standout takeaway from the locker room is that they feel like they played a really good game. Obviously, they didn't get rewarded, but there was general happiness about the way the team played, and I think they're right. You're talking about Dallas as one of the high-end teams in the league, a true cup contender. They don't have Miro Heiskanen, and that's true, but they do have Mikko Rantanen, who wasn't on the team most of the year, and he's a darn good hockey player, one of the better players in the league. And the Flyers held that team to 19 shots on goal. They dominate in terms of expected goals, pulling up the numbers now from Natural Stat Trick. All situations, Flyers had 3, and the Stars had under 2. They lose this game because, let's just say, I think you need one of those saves from Fedotov. The first one, not gonna kill him for that. There was a lot of guys in front. He certainly couldn't see the puck. Second one, I wouldn't say it's a bad goal, but it is one you need your goalie to stop. It's a clean sight shot. You need your goalie to find a way to make that save. He doesn't. He gets pulled. Ersson comes in, plays really well, pretty much the entire game, and then they come back. And they control play against a really good team. So the Flyers and John Tortorella, the players and the coach, both came away feeling good about this game. It's just they can't break through. The power play being terrible is a big part of it. They can't depend on the power play to give them anything. That's a big part of it, but it's also the fact that they're playing against really good teams. Like, in each of the games on this road trip, I think they've played pretty well in all 3 games. It's just that they played against a team that's definitely going to make the playoffs in Tampa, the team with the best record in hockey, at least was a couple days ago in Washington, and then a team in Dallas that I think everybody agrees is on the short list for top cup contenders. So they're playing well, they're losing to real good teams, and I guess they're helping their draft picks a lot.
All right, Charlie, I want to know what you made of Torts giving Fedotov that quick hook. 20 minutes, he only faces 3 shots. Granted, 2 goals on the first 2. That's rough, but we've seen Torts do this a couple of times this year where he's like, all right, I'm done with this. He pulls the plug almost immediately on Ivan Fedotov. Now you can say, listen, it worked. Ersson was real good for the final 40, before the overtime goal, which, whatever. What did you think of the decision at the time, though?
It was mildly surprising, but as I said, you really did need a save on that second shot. And again, not just second goal, second shot. You give up the first 2 shots on goal you allow. That's an extremely bad look. And I also just think, too, that what it boils down to is that John Tortorella trusts Sam Ersson more than he trusts Ivan Fedotov. I don't know if he pulls Ersson in the same situation, but he trusts Ersson. He looks at the situation and he's like, we're playing pretty good hockey. We're losing 2-0 because we can't get a save. I'm going to throw in the guy who I trust more can get me saves. I think that's really, in the end, probably what it boils down to. And ultimately, he was proven right because Ersson held down the fort really well for the remainder of regulation, and that gave the team a chance to tie this up and get a point and at least come away from this game feeling good about themselves a little bit.
Now, Ersson didn't exactly have a crazy workload. Like you said, they held the Stars to 19 shots. Ersson faces 16 of them. But it is a back-to-back. What do you think they do tomorrow? Did any indication?
That's a really good question. I don't even think anybody asked him, but I also think that even if he was asked, he wouldn't tell us. Sure. He might not even know yet. He very well might go back to Ersson. It's not like the workload tonight was particularly onerous. Like, he faces 16 shots. That's half of a normal workload. Now, granted, Flyers haven't been giving up a lot of shots over this stretch anyway, but 40 minutes, didn't face a ton of pucks. I could see him going back to Ersson just because, I talked about how these last 3 games, really this last stretch, but these last 3 games, because they did not play well against Carolina. That was a game where they very much deserved to lose that one. But on this road trip, they played 3 solid games. They've just lost to teams that ultimately are better than they are. On Sunday, they play against a team in Chicago who they are better than. Like, the Flyers have more talent than the Blackhawks. And if Torts, as he said, is focused on trying to get this team to win some games, this is a game that they not even just can win, probably should win, even with the back-to-back travel, which is tough, in fairness. But even with the back-to-back travel, they should beat the Blackhawks if they play remotely close to as well as they played tonight. And maybe Torts looks at it as, Ersson gives me the best chance to win. He didn't play a full game. I'm going to go to him. That was obviously the plan before he pulled Fedotov. I would say over 50% chance I think he goes with Ersson tomorrow, honestly.
I am expecting Ersson as well. TK finally broke the drought, Charlie. His 3rd goal in 30 games, his first in, I think, 11 or 12. In his intermission interview on the broadcast, kind of no selling it, just was business as usual. Was it a little bit more... they lose the game, so it's not like he's popping champagne, but was it a little more upbeat in the locker room? Was he kind of, you could tell he was happy to get the monkey off his back, so to speak?
Well, when he was asked the first time, he basically was like, well, I'm more concerned about the fact that we lost and we're playing really well. We're not getting rewarded. Just got to keep plugging away. But you could tell he was relieved. It was the monkey on his back, to be sure. And I asked him a question that actually he gave more than I expected him to. I asked him about the play right before the goal, where he cuts through the defense, sets up Michkov for that quality chance. Doesn't result in the goal, but it's a real good play by Konecny. And he stopped me and he's just like, yeah, I haven't done that in a month. I need to do a better job getting to the interior, attack in the middle. And yeah, after that play, I felt good because it's been so long since I've done that. Then yeah, maybe that did give me the boost to find a way to get the goal right after. It was an interesting bit of self-reflection, and it was revealing from TK that, once he made that play, I think he just started feeling a little bit better about himself, that, oh yeah, this is me. This is what I do. And then he obviously goes out there 10, 15 seconds later on the same shift and rips one past Jake Ottinger, a really good goalie. So much of this has been in his head. And I think maybe making that play where he looks like the old TK, cutting through defensemen, dangling through players, it just gave him that little bit of light bulb moment in his head where, oh yeah, I can do this. Yeah, let me just try to beat this goalie clean. No problem. And then he does. Now, he rings another one off the post in the 3rd period, so it's not over yet. But at the very least, I have to think he's feeling better about himself and also feeling better about the fact that, like, not everything is going against him now.
Yeah, it was really nice to see Konecny get that monkey off his back. Now, one of the guys who didn't have a great day offensively was Owen Tippett. He only ended up playing .831 in this game, demoted to the 4th line, at least for a period. What did you think of Tippett in that whole situation today?
Well, I'd have to go back through the tape and see if there was a specific mistake that maybe Tortorella, picked on him to bring him down, or if it was more just a line juggling. But look, as much ink has been written on TK struggles, it's not like Tippett's been playing that well either. He hasn't been producing much. We talked about it on the show on Friday. I think Bill talked about it after the game on Thursday. They need more from Owen Tippett. I was excited to see Tippett on a line with Peltier because it was like, oh, Peltier's finally getting some high-quality line mates, and that lasted a period before Tippett gets demoted. It wasn't Peltier, it was Tippett. They need more from Owen Tippett. They do. He still looks fast. He still makes plays on occasion, but they need more consistent offense. They need him to finish the year strong. I have to believe this was like a one-game tweak rather than something where like he's going to be parked down on the 4th line for tomorrow's game for the next week. I can't imagine that to be the case. But you don't put a guy on the 4th line with Nick Delorier and Rodrigo Abels as his line mates unless you're a bit frustrated with them. And I'm sure John Tortorella is a bit frustrated with the lack of consistent production from Owen Tippett.
Charlie, we've talked a lot on and off about Coots' finish to last season and how we're hoping to see Couturier finish this year strong to give us a little confidence that he can be a contributor for this team for a full season. He's got 9 points in 14 games since the Four Nations. He's out there. They reunited the Michkov, TK, Coots line today, and I've liked that line when they've been together for the most part. How have you liked Coots' play in the late in this season?
I've liked it. I don't think he's been incredible, but he's been good, and he's showing that it's not an inevitability that he's going to tail off at the end of seasons, because last season he obviously did. It was very concerning. He was dealing with injuries, sure, but he's on the older side. He's over 30 now. He's dealt with multiple back surgeries. You don't know if this is just something the Flyers are going to have to deal with, that he's going to have a good first 2/3 of the year, and then every season he's going to wear down because that's all his body can handle. He's at least showing this season that we shouldn't expect that to happen every year, that we can expect that Sean Couturier can play strong through 82 games and then hopefully at some point down the road past game 82. They don't have to worry as much that he's going to be shot for every playoff run they have in the future, because he's got a lot more years left on that contract, and given the fact that his cap hit's very large and he has a no movement clause, I think they're just going to have to adjust to the new normal of what Sean Couturier is, and hopefully they make the playoffs before his contract is up, because I don't know if I can deal with another, 5-6 years of no playoffs.
Charlie, I don't want to think about that. Quite honestly. I can't live in that headspace. You wrote the article the other day about Jacob Peltier and his, less than 10 minutes every night, like a lot of games getting only 6-7 minutes. He plays more than usual, sets his season high with the Flyers was 12-18 today, so he gets a new Flyers career high at least. He plays a little more than usual. They showed a few nice plays on the broadcast of just him battling, getting to the net front, things like that. What did you think of Peltier in his a little bit more expanded role?
Well, I'm glad they gave him the more expanded role. Now, this allows me to, taunt that I was the one who convinced John Tortorella to move him up the lineup. Now, I don't think that's the case, but I'll take the wins where I can get them, given the fact that I wrote the article yesterday and the very next day he's out of the lineup spot that I wanted him out of. So, hey, sure, I'll take the win. But I don't think he was incredible. That said, even though being up with Poehling and then Lixell for the final 2/3 of this game is an upgrade over to Lohrei and Obels, it's not that dramatic. Poehling has been playing quite well, but it's not like he's playing with Travis Konecny. It's not like he's on a line with Sean Couturier. So I'm not going to say that he had the most support in the world. He had more support and he played fine. I need to see more from him in this role though. If he's going to get some runway and maybe he's going to get a week or two up in a scoring role, what he showed tonight isn't going to be enough to convince me that he needs to be part of this long term. He needs to show some offense. He needs to make some plays. I didn't think it was fair to judge him for not making plays when he was with a guy trying to prove that he's an NHL player and an enforcer. I didn't think that was fair to Peltier. But if Peltier gets a week or two on Poehling's line, on Couturier's line, on Cates' line or whatever, and still isn't making an impact, then I think you can start making some observations about maybe you don't need to re-sign this guy. But I just wanted to see him get the shot. And I'm glad he's getting the shot, because I just don't think it was fair to him to ask him to impress, given the usage, given the minimal minutes he was getting, and given his line mates. Now he's getting better usage, and hopefully that sticks.
Any thoughts on that disallowed goal in the second period? It really seemed to me as if it crossed the line. Maybe it's that Tampa-Calgary optical illusion thing where you just can't really tell. What did you think about that one? Could you see? Because it sounded like when they showed it on the Jumbotron, Dallas fans were like, that's obviously in.
Well, I think this is one of those things where it's like I don't even know what to describe it. I was going to say it's like the blue and gold dress, where you see what you want to see, but that isn't even the best comparison. Obviously, fans are gonna think that something's a goal when they see it because they want it to be a goal, and obviously fans of the other team are going to think it's not a goal because they want it to not be a goal. It was really, really close. You really can't tell just because of the ice and how things go. And also the angle. Is the angle actually perfect? To me, you couldn't tell. I would say that given the fact that it was no goal on the ice, that I just don't know if there's enough evidence to conclusively say it crossed the line. If it would have been a goal call on the ice, I would say it shouldn't have been overturned, because I think it was that close. Emil Andre admitted after the game that he didn't know if he had stopped it, that he wasn't sure. So I just think it was truly one of those 50-50 plays. If I had to guess, I would guess it probably did cross. I just don't know if there's enough conclusive evidence to prove it, given the fact that the initial call was no goal on the ice.
Even Jim Jackson and Brian Boucher couldn't agree on it in the booth. Like,
they're just like, I don't know.
No, but Bush was like, no, I don't see any white in between the. And I'm like, all right, Bush, I don't know about this, but I appreciate you rooting for us and everything here. So Charlie, also Bush had commented on not being able to really read those Stars jerseys today, those glow in the dark Stars jerseys. What did you make of those in person?
Yeah, I mean they're cool. They're cool to see in person, but you can't really read them. It's very true. Especially you can't read the letters at all. The numbers, you can pick them up. You know what it's kind of reminiscent of? It's reminiscent of the Flyers' old black jerseys, not the old ones, but the ones that they were wearing prior to this year, the third jerseys, where they're just not good if you're not tracking like. I track games. I don't track them as in detail as I used to, where I was taking down the individual player numbers and individual entry totals and whatnot. But when I did, I hated those jerseys because it was impossible to tell the difference between somebody wearing 22 versus 28. Like, it was just terrible. I would probably be just as angry with these. Luckily, I don't have to, so it's not really a concern. But yeah, the numbers are tough to see. The lettering is really tough to see from up at the press box.
Would really like to see JJ and everyone react to the Michkov Andre conundrum with jerseys like that. All right, without any further ado, it is time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game, presented by Rite Aid. That's right, it's the Rite Aid 3 stars. Charlie, who was star number 3?
Star number 3. Let's go with Travis Konecny. I was thinking about Ryan Poehling, but let's go with Konecny. He scores the goal that kind of gets everybody going, and it's just been so long since he scored. This is just a big game for him personally, because hopefully this just gets him feeling better about himself and about the fact that like the hockey gods are hopefully no longer looking down upon him so unfavorably. Konecny has a good, big goal, big play. Travis Konecny, 3rd star.
All right, time for star number 2.
Star number 2, I will go with Sam Ersson. But he had a great game. Comes in relief, holds down the fort. They couldn't have asked for much more. I guess obviously he could have made a better play on the overtime game winner. But overall, he did about all you can reasonably ask for from a goalie like Ersson. So give him 2nd star.
And star number 1.
Yeah, star number 1 is Thomas Harley. Obviously, he scores 2 goals, including the game winner. He's a guy, obviously, that Dallas is leaning on a lot now with the absence of Miro Heiskanen, and he was extremely impressive tonight and very much deserves that 1st star.
All right, Charlie. Oh, I did have one thing I wanted to ask you that I forgot. The what looked like Michkov's first assist today gets taken away. Really looked like he got his stick on that puck. Did you think there was like a shot of it? Like, was there an explanation? Like, oh, he just didn't? I thought that was odd. I couldn't tell, though.
Bill, I'll be honest. Like I know, and I'm not saying this in a disparaging way. I know that for a lot of people, the only thing that matters in the season is Matvei Michkov getting points, but like it's not that big of a deal to me. So I didn't go back and like look at it super closely to see if he actually touched the puck.
You're in Dallas. You got to watch it like this is a
come
Bruder film.
Come on, Charlie. These are the things we need here. All right, that is Charlie O'Connor coming to us live from Dallas. He'll be in Chicago tomorrow, correct?
I will not. I will be going straight to Toronto.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's okay. So make sure you tune in for that, even without Chuck. All right, that's that, Charlie. We will talk to you eventually.
All right, see you guys.
All right, that is Charlie O'Connor and the Rite Aid 3 stars. I really thought I knew the answer to that question.
I mean, it happens, right? It happens. Come on.
Never ask a question you don't know the answer to. That's broadcasting 101.
It is broadcasting 101, but sometimes it leads to a more interesting place, my friend.
It does. And where it's going to lead us right now is just a couple more messages from our sponsors. All right, I got to tell you about one of our newest sponsors here at the PHLY Flyers end of things, and that's the Bet Parks Casino and the Excite Center at Parks Casino, Ben Salem. I am really excited about some of the lineup coming up here at the Parks Casino Excite Center, from All-American Rejects to, honestly, a guilty pleasure of mine. Yeah, that's right. It's Larry the Cable Guy, May 16th. There is just some sort of headliner basically every week at Parks. You get into July. Gary Clark Jr. on July 3rd at the Excite Center. So whatever you're looking for, I mean, comedians, you name it, concerts. There's a medium that's going to be there in the coming weeks. All sorts of events at the Excite Center at Parks Casino, Ben Salem. It's an absolutely outstanding place. And, Bet Parks is off a street road, off exit 95, off street road exit off of 95 in the PA Turnpike. The Excite Center is a state-of-the-art entertainment venue inside Parks Casino, right in Bucks County in the Philly suburbs. It's been named one of the best places for concerts and comedy, and a great place to see the country's best comedians and musical headliners. Parks Casino, this is how you win. ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all your shows. Must be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And while we're here, as I accidentally exit out of everything, where are we going next?
Parks Casino is very easy to get to.
It is TrueMark Financial Credit Union. It's almost spring, and that means it's time to spring into savings. If you have financial goals, whether it's buying a house, taking that dream vacation, or building your emergency fund, TrueMark Financial Credit Union has the perfect savings account for you. TrueMark Financial offers high-rate certificates and money market accounts to help your money grow faster and work harder for you. Visit TrueMark.com for rates to learn more. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by the NCUA, equal opportunity lender. Rates are subject to change. All right. Charlie said, obviously, I'm not that concerned about every single point. I have been looking at this, and it really looks like that puck hits Matvei Michkov's stick. They originally said it does, and then they went back and took it away. But regardless...
This is felony and fraud. This is all it is. It's felony fraud.
Regardless, Matvei Michkov does get one assist today to get to him to 48 points, and that makes him our Ace Hardware temperature check player. Let's take a look at which Flyer is heating up or cooling off with our Ace Hardware temp check. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. So Matvei Michkov, so they take the one assist away. Not a multi-point game for him. He does not get to 49 points to pass Simone Gagne for the most since 2000. But he does tie him 48 points, 20 goals, 28 assists this season. And you take a look at the Flyers' all-time rookie leading scores. Now, 11 games left. He hasn't been as hot as he was. That extra point today would have gone nicely to move him up this list a little. But in April, the games are a little more spread out. He'll get a little bit more rest between games. Obviously, Chicago tomorrow, not exactly a defensive juggernaut there. Not one of the better teams in the league. Maybe he can get a multi-point game there. You look at where he is in these standings, and man, I feel like... Yeah, Bill Barber, that's out of reach, but that 56 number with Andre Lacroix, I feel like he can definitely still get there.
Yeah, he can get there for sure. And here's the thing. They keep also talking about the number as like going back to 2000 because the numbers for the rookies are very different because if you look at the eras of everybody here versus, like he tied Gagne and Gagne's the highest scorer since 2000.
In 25 years.
Right,
yeah.
In 25 years.
I mean, he did it then.
A lot of it is just it being a different game.
Yeah.
That said,
well,
I would love to see him move ahead of some of these guys right here. If he could catch Peter Zezel, that would be amazing. I don't think that's going to happen.
That would be surprising. But you just look at the list, and it is like, all right, yeah, Gagne, and then, okay, Lindros and Renberg in back-to-back years in the early 90s, and then it's all 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Like, it is an impressive group to be involved in, and I do think we were... maybe got a little ahead of ourselves, when he's at the 27-game mark and his 27 points. It's like, oh, he's already a point-a-game player. He had that real drop-off. But
it felt pretty great, though.
It really did. He had that drop-off for about a 26, 27-game stretch. But since Four Nations, he has been a lot better. And this is another part of this line that I do want to keep together. Like, Couturier's look good, 9 points in the last 14. TK getting it going a little bit, scores today. He's been getting a ton of opportunities. Maybe a little late season surge here for Michkov to make his way up that list.
I would love that. And I would love to see TK get some of his mojo back. I'd love to see Couturier continue to produce because these are all guys that either because of age, contract, or just ability aren't going anywhere for the next few years. Like Couturier, that contract, not going anywhere. Michkov, He's the future, and TK is your best player right now. And I like the idea of having all those guys together, working together, and really just like kicking some butt together.
Now, on the play, he does get the assist on, and that is our Ace Hardware temperature check. But a little more on Michkov. He does get the assist on that Poehling goal. Ryan Poehling is offensive juggernaut, apparently.
Of course.
But he took a freaking shot to get that puck over to Poehling. He has been getting a lot of we haven't really seen him get rocked like that this year. It's more like been in scrums and little things, but he's taken some physical abuse this year. And the fact that he is still, while we do believe he has gotten tired and worn down at times, he's been a pretty tough kid for his first year in the league.
He doesn't shy away from guys. Like, he gets into
He's not afraid of contact.
He's not afraid of anything. He fears nothing. And I love that about him. And like, he knew he was going to take that shot, which is why I think that was so great. Like,
yeah,
he made that pass knowing I'm going to pay for this. And he did it anyway. And it was a great play, set up Poehling with the breakout there. And Poehling got to use his number one asset, his speed, to go in and score a really nice goal.
Can we talk about Ryan Poehling for a second?
I'd love to talk about Ryan Poehling.
Honestly, that's where we are in this season. It's like, you know what? He's been impressive. It is kind of
Ryan Poehling.
It is kind of like a snapshot of how bad this offense has been. That it's like, Ryan Poehling, right? So Poehling's goal in the home game against Tampa last week was the Flyers' last goal before that shutout streak, and then he scores the first goal against the Caps to end the streak. Poehling also picks up an assist on Coots' goal against the Caps, and he scores the Flyers' second goal today. So he's scored 3 of their last 5 goals and factored into 4 of them. I mean, you should have more than 5 goals in 6 or 7 games, but
sure should.
The fact that he's been doing this is pretty impressive. Is there something more? Ryan Poehling is what he is, but when given the opportunity, he can contribute a little bit on offense.
He's a nice guy to have on your team moving forward, as far as like kind of a Swiss Army knife of a center, where if there's an emergency, he can play up in the lineup. And it's also a good problem to have if he can play as a third line center, right? Maybe that's a possibility for him, depending on what they do. That said, I probably don't want him there because, you've got Couturier is going to play center regardless. Couturier is not a wing, all right? And Cates can play wing, so Cates maybe has some versatility, but Luchenko's coming up in the next year or two. He's going to play center. And I think Poehling slots in nicely in the fourth line. But if you need him to, he can play third. That ain't a bad thing. He's not going to be an offensive juggernaut. I'm enjoying it right now, though.
I do love when he shows off a little of that skill. Like, he was drafted 25th overall in 2017. Like, he goes right before Jake Ottinger, who he scores on today. He's 2 picks ahead of Morgan Frost. Like, he was taken with the idea that he might have a little bit of offensive upside. Clearly, that hasn't worked out for him at this point. And now that he's, 26 years old, I don't think we're going to see a brand new guy. But there is a little bit of that skill in there. I always joke, he had that final game of the year with the Habs in his debut. He scores a hat trick. So the next year, I'm like, he's the all-time leader in goals per game. He's going to win the Calder. And that was my prediction that year. And clearly the offense hasn't quite worked out for him. But he's put a nice role together for himself. And listen, it's not the most, we checked the 4C box. Like, thank God we have that under control.
All right.
But you do need good players in these spots, and I think he does fill that well. That said, maybe he's not the guy that starts overtime with TK.
That was a mistake. That was absolutely
maybe he's not the one we put out there to start overtime against the cup contender.
I don't really understand that one. Like, why not go with Cates? Why not go with Couturier? I understand maybe not Couturier because of the speed limitations at this point, but why not go with Noah Cates to start the OT, especially against a tough opponent like Dallas? Noah Cates has some good speed for his, for who he is. And obviously he's a really good 2-way player. So I don't really get starting Ryan Poehling there. But Ryan Poehling is a nice piece to have because you do need to fill out all 4 of those lines.
And I will say with TK out there in overtime, a lot this season, they've put a center out for the faceoff. And then the center immediately leaves if they get possession of the puck and Michkov comes on.
When the other team doesn't score within 9 seconds.
Yeah, and I guess it does make some, he does have speed. He can skate. You do use him as a checker. So I suppose it makes some sense. It's just I don't know. It's our 4C. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I
I
would
don't
have
know if he's
rather
the guy there.
I easily would have rather had Cates there.
Cates, Couturier. I know you don't want to put Couturier out there because of the speed issue, but like he does win a lot of faceoffs.
He wins a lot of faceoffs, and also like he is still a center, right? And
yeah,
he's played pretty well. I mean, like his line was really good in this game, and yeah, I mean, one of the other things I'm really curious about, Bill, that we had on our list of questions for Charlie but didn't get to was there was a graphic that went up late in that game.
Yeah.
It was about Sanheim and York, and I mentioned York as maybe a potentially disappointing player earlier in the game, and then they had this graphic, and it said they're the second best D pair in the leagues in terms of expected goals against. Did that surprise you?
It really did. Now we know that they get used as this in this shutdown role, and when you look at like the plus minus numbers, and I've been over those two, and their absolute lack of scoring whatsoever, and that's very disappointing that neither of them provide any offense at all, especially in the second half. But they do get used a lot in this. Yeah, you're our number one pair. Like we match you up, we play you a ton of minutes, and you see the expected goals against. It doesn't say the source here for the expected goals. I would like to know that and what Charlie actually thinks about whatever nerd site that they got this from. But I say that in all due respect. I use Natural Stat Trick. Charlie uses Evolving Hockey for the most part. So just I would like to know which one they're using just for myself. But regardless, like this is elite company here. You look at the guys that they are on this list with. Like, yeah, Taves, Makar, doesn't get much better than that. Like Ekholm, Bouchard, Morrissey, DeMello, like Ryan McDonough and Eric Cernick, like Chernick, like that's really good company, and they're second among all these guys in expected goals. Maybe we look too much at the defense, and then it's like, well, they give up a ton of goals. That's why you look at the expected, because our goalies have been so freaking bad this year. No one's going to have a good plus minus.
Yeah, and it doesn't get worse than how Fedotov started today. 2 goals on 2 shots. You're like, do the bare minimum. You make a save in the first 10 minutes. And the Stars really got bang for their buck because they didn't get a ton of shots today.
No, they held them to 16 shots.
Your bet today.
Absolutely awesome.
Number one, you already hit it when they only had a few shots when Fedotov was pulled. But on top of that, even if Fedotov had stayed in, they still had, under 20 shots, right?
Yeah, they end up with, 19 shots on the day? Yeah, 19 shots on the day. And that's, listen, the Stars, since the trade deadline, they've been putting up like 24 shots a game. And the Flyers, we know about their shot suppression. That has still been really good. It's been even better since 4 Nations. They've come back and really played a ton of defense. So it made sense for me today. Like, oh yeah. One, Fedotov could always just get pulled in the first period like he did today.
Sure did.
That has happened multiple times. 2, the Flyers might not even give up 24 shots. So the idea that under 23 and a half saves, yeah, done.
I got to say, it's also nice on a level because we were speaking pretty highly of Fedotov in the pregame because he had some nice March numbers. It's kind of nice to bring him back down to earth. And you can then think, for next season, no, I don't even want to consider running it back with these guys because they need to bring in, again, it depends on what the strategy is. If your strategy is the tank, I guess go ahead with these guys. But if you really want to take a step forward, if you really want to start working into the next phase of this Flyers rebuild, you need to get a more steady presence in goaltender. You need a Brian Elliott of sort for the modern times, just somebody who you can rely upon because you never know which version of Fedotov you're going to get on a given night.
No, and it's really like bringing just that idea back down to earth. Like, okay, 920 this month. He really hasn't played a ton of NHL hockey. Maybe this is the beginning of him becoming something. And then you see today, the coach is just like, no, I don't have time for this. Like, this is exactly, he did the same thing in Florida when he gave up a couple of goals on like 9 shots in the first period. He was just like, no, we're doing something else. Maybe the quick hook. It's like, what's the point? We are rebuilding. Leave him in there. But we know that that's not John Tortorella's way. He's not. He's going to coach to win. And Ersson, to his credit, comes in, stops 15 out of 16, gives up the winner. that is what it is. 9 seconds into overtime. Jesus.
I mean, he
ridiculous.
played his butt off in
But
that game, and like
he absolutely kept this game manageable for them to get to overtime.
that's
I
a
know
good
that
offensive team. That is a good offensive team they played today.
It really is. And I know it's like it doesn't enthuse most people who are like, I don't care. Like, I want to tank. But for Sam Ersson, it has to feel good just because he has had such terrible results since the Four Nations break to come in and at least like be steady, make a couple of big saves, keep this game in striking distance, and then they tie it up.
Hey, and then maybe he'll just be exhausted tomorrow and they'll lose a game they probably should win easily against Chicago.
Man, I am just like banking on them winning tomorrow. If that's a big loss. That would be a hell of a loss because it erases the win against the Lightning. Like when you win a game you're supposed to lose, it's like, those were, you're going to beat Chicago. You're probably going to win at least one of those Buffalo games. Like, Nashville's terrible. There's a chance you beat them. It's like, yeah, but Tampa, no, that ain't happening. Yeah. And you get those 2 points. It's like, really? Come on. But that will take us to today's Tankathon spin. That's right. So the Sabres did lose to Minnesota in regulation, so they hold on to that fourth spot in the lottery. Flyers remain at 5 for now. Let's see where they end up. Brenna, spin that wheel.
Tank.
Two. We got two,
let's
baby.
go.
We got that magical 2 spot with, is that Buffalo at 1. Now, that would be interesting.
That's some chaos right there.
That would just be interesting because they have Dahlin, they have Owen Power. Do they still go defenseman in this spot? Did they end up trading Bo Byram? I don't even remember. I know they were thinking about it.
I'm gonna look it up.
But like they have these defensemen, so if they're at 1, do they go Matthew Schaefer, who is right now the chalk #1 overall, or do they just go with one of these centers? It's not like they're hurting for high-end forwards, or at least guys that they drafted highly either. So that'll be interesting to see if it were to be Buffalo Philly.
Some dominoes could
if we
fall.
don't get if they don't go defenseman at the top, do the Flyers go, well, we have to take Schaefer because he was supposed to go 1? It's not as if they couldn't use a high-end defenseman either. No, regardless of that graphic we showed you, I don't believe that this is a first-pair defense.
Yeah, I like them.
Look, I
think both of those guys are good long-term for this team, but like
as second-pair guys.
You still need like somebody to really give a spark at the top there.
You need a stud.
And by the way, Byram's still a Sabre.
I thought so. I just couldn't remember. I didn't want to say something stupid.
Oh, but I mean, come on. That's how I live my life.
I was like, and they have Bo Byram. I was like, you idiot. Don't you remember that huge trade they made at the deadline? Like, no, I
dumb. You forget what the Buffalo Sabres did.
Haven't watched the Sabres much at all this season.
A lot of people in Buffalo haven't either.
Yeah. What did you make of the Stars jerseys today, Steve, before we get to Super Chats?
Oh, boy. I mean, like, they went for it, and I appreciate that on a level where I appreciate chaos. But, man, that glow-in-the-dark color is atrocious. And much like Charlie mentioned the Flyers' third jerseys, the black jerseys. Those things are unreadable, okay? They are just unreadable. I also hate, little side note on the Flyers' third jerseys. When they wear them at home now, they changed the score bug to match the color of the jerseys. So it's just a plain black score bug for the Flyers. And it's very plain already because it just shows PHI. So it's like, it just looks so flat and boring, and I hate all of it. Those jerseys are just completely unreadable. They make the Michkov Andre confusion that much worse because they have such similar body types and numbers. It's just like,
they look exactly the same. It's uncanny. I love this will shock many of you, obnoxious looking crap. And so I was actually supporting the Stars today. If you saw me tweet out in the third period my sneaker choice today, it is I have my neon green Ghostbusters Pumas on in support of the Stars. I was hoping for that late goal in regulation. Did not quite come through for us. But Tankathon came through regardless, getting the Flyers that second pick. All right, Brenna, let's get to today's Super Chats. We have a few. All right, lead it off with our pal JH.
There he is.
Says, Sam knew the assignment, loss, and Michkov point. Yeah, it would have been cool if they lose in regulation, but I guess you can't lose them all in regulation. The Flyers still don't have a regulation win.
I would say Ivan knew the assignment best today. Ivan knew the assignment.
Ivan was, Ivan and Rocky Thompson are just driving this tank straight through the Wells Fargo Center. We're going to need to build that arena real soon because this thing is just demolishing the building.
Yeah. It's just watch out.
That power play, man.
It's insane how bad. Like, I made a joke on Blue Sky earlier about how like they just become like severed, like the show Severance. They just become new people once the power play starts, who just forget how to play hockey, because that's what it looks like. How do you get worse when you have more people out there consistently?
I think it was on their second power play. They like badly lost the possession battle. They go 0 for 2 in the first 21 minutes to get to 0 for 27 in the month. They have another one, 0 for 28 in the month of March. Simply incredible. Honestly, it's more impressive than if they were just like, okay. Like going 0 for 28 for the month. It is now March 22nd. They don't have a power play goal.
You have an extra person.
You have more guys.
You have more guys. This should be impossible.
I'm baffled. I am baffled by this team. And they're just stunning. This power play is atrocious. All right, get one here from Gary B. He says, at least TK ended his drought. Mish earned a point. I'm just happy for Konecny. And with he and Mish together, maybe they can get a little something going offensively. I don't want this team to go on any sort of run.
No.
If the Flyers score 1 goal a game, it would be cool if it was some combination of TK and Michkov putting that together.
Yeah.
You lose every game 3-1.
I mean, given their goaltending, I think getting 2 goals a game would be perfectly fine because they ain't scoring 3.
It is often a race to 3.
And they're giving up 3.
If you can score 3 on the Flyers, it's pretty much over.
I think that's the average, right? Because all the goaltenders' GAAs are they
right
all above
3?
3? Yeah.
Fedotov before today was 298.
Oh.
And Ersson
went up today.
Yeah, Ersson coming into today was like 302.
Oh yeah, so 3 is like, yeah, so yeah, if they score 3, which they're going to win.
I could go for a 302, man. I'm itching for summer. Got to get down to Sea Isle. All right, another one here from Gary B. Mish nets 2 goals tomorrow versus Bedard. You know, we have seen him step up against, he had a pretty good game against his first meeting with Celebrini.
If you guys are going to win tomorrow, win big.
Yeah, the Cutter game, I think he had 2 points in that one. It seems like he's stepped up against the other rookies some. He punched Celebrini in the face the one game.
I like that.
That was good stuff. Love that.
You're not going to win the Calder, punch him in the face.
I wouldn't mind him being like, yo, just don't sign anything this offseason with Chicago. We got something coming. Someone needs to tell Bedard that the offer sheet's coming. That's for you, Dr. Brizgalov. I know that you've been talking about it nonstop. Someone on Twitter, Dr. Briz, hits me up talking about Bedard offer sheets like every day. It's like all of his comments.
It's coming.
Are Bedard offer sheets and Meatwad from Aquatine gifts. That's what he does.
Send us a Meatwad.
That's outstanding. All right. Another. Oh, no, that was the second Gary B one. This one is from J.E. Frucione.
Oh, boy.
Guys, about a week ago, there were 16 games to go, and I put the over-under on goals scored for the rest of the season at 39.5. You guys went under. We are 5 games in, 7 goals scored. Under is a lock. I mean, yeah, man, they don't score. Like they really don't score, and I have been excluding the goal that they get in the for winning those shootouts.
That's not a goal.
So like that doesn't count. Who scored it? It's not a goal.
It doesn't go to anybody.
Yeah, you just have to. It can't
it's
go.
It's pretty for the highlights.
It just can't say like win 2-2, like because that looks insane. They didn't win. So you have to make the score 3-2, but that's really what it is. It's a tie.
Asterisk, not actually a goal. Don't count in the source.
Yeah, like you look at the team, like, okay, how many goals did the guys score? It's fewer than total. Yeah, because those aren't really goals.
Who scored it?
But yeah, this offense, I mean,
it's putrid.
It's
really bad.
Imagine if the power play, like that's it was JJ and Bush today. Like Michkov would be running away with the Calder if this power play was functional.
Yes.
Functional. Not 20%. 17% he's running away with this thing.
It's honestly stunning that he did what he did to start the season. Like to have the start he did where he was like an army of one doing it. It's still amazing.
All right, and just want to let you know we're going into overtime. Head to allphly.com to keep watching today's show. Yeah, like remember when early in the season it was like, Michkov's just a power play merchant. It's like, actually, he leads all rookies in even strength scoring. They don't score on the power play. How could he be a merchant?
Oh, and yeah, I was going to say he's definitely proven he's not a power play merchant because ain't nobody scored on that power play in a month.
That's they have 26 power play goals. 8 of them came in the first 8 games. It's since October 27th, they're now under 11% because it was 11% yesterday. They are now under 11% since October 27th, the 9th game of the season.
Thank God we lowered our expectations nice and early because, like, if we expected this team to make the playoffs and compete this year, we would just be like, our blood pressure would be sky high right now about this. But guess what? I'm chilling.
I'm getting one of those top 5 picks. It's going to feel real nice. All right, from Prince Punk, they say overtime loss is an emoticon. The O is the head, the T is the arms, and the slash is the legs. It's someone on their knees upset. I'm trying to picture it.
See, this is the emoticon I think of. It's the face palm.
I think I see where you're coming from, Prince Punk. All right. And finally, from JH, who says no to a Bedard offer sheet? Not me. Chicago. That, like, I just can't imagine what the number is that they'd be like, oh, our whole plan revolves around him. We're letting him go.
We're letting him go.
I just can't imagine. Like, even if it's 14 mil, they have to be like, yes, we give him 14.
20 mil. But then you can't sign Michkov.
And then they come back with Michkov.
Hey guys, it's time for the Bedard offer sheet.
That'll be a lot of fun. All right, but today was a lot of fun, Steve. Well, it was a game at least.
I mean, we had fun.
We always have a good time, but that is that for today. This has been PHLY Flyers Postgame presented by Bet365. Oh, we got another one. Gary B. I'll miss the show Monday. If there is a show, I'll be on a flight to Toronto. No show Monday, right? We are off Monday. Yeah, so you're not missing anything, Gary.
Missing nothing, Gary.
It's like a Flyers game. If you can't make it, well, there'll always be another one that you can be disappointed in. All right, this has been PHLY Flyers Postgame presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. We'll be back tomorrow with pre- and post-game. Once again, believe it'll be Kelly Hinkle joining me in the co-host chair. So make sure you tune in for that. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. And follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. And while you have that podcast app open, check out Flyperbole. It's pretty good. All right. I am Bill Matz. That is Steve Jaco. Until tomorrow, the tank rolls on.
Tank.
We all silly like the mayor.